Welcome, wanderers, to our boondocking adventure in the bayou.
We are just outside of Lafayette, Louisiana for our craziest boondocking adventure yet, and that's mostly because we still aren't sure if alligators didn't sleep under our Airstream with us. And to get our Airstream into this little peninsula might be one of the most challenging backup things we've ever done.
We've reserved a spot on a little peninsula, so I'm gonna back through a tiny gate and then back it sort of diagonally. It's gonna present some challenges. We'll see how it goes.
You're going too far to the passenger side. Okay, I think you're good on the gate.
Which way?
Towards the passenger side. Okay, if you can straighten her up now, then you're like right on the lines.
I need to straighten it out. Okay, I feel pretty good about this. Kind of, it looks a little bit cockeyed, but I wanted to make sure that we could very easily get into the front door here on our Airstream. But we're real close, like that close. We're like that close to the swamp area here. It's gonna make for some great morning views, no doubt.
Sure enough, Daniel was right. The sunrise views over the Louisiana Bayou are stunning. But we were really worried that alligators had made camp under the Airstream. When checking with the Osmo camera didn't work, Dee did the only thing that seemed logical.
It's quite chilly outside, but I brought it, blah, blah, blah. My lips are frozen. But I thought I'd bring out the camera and let you see what I'm seeing right now because it is just spectacular. This is a cabin where we'll be doing our tour a little bit later today of the bayou. Here's the other side.
Set a goal for our boondocking adventure. Figure out how to run the generators for power, because this was not as simple as we thought it would be.
We've put it off for far too long, and it's finally time for one of us to suck it up and figure these damn generators out. It says fill with gas, add fuel stabilizer, add engine oil. And I'm looking at it and I don't even know where to put the engine oil. One other thing I'm noticing immediately is that I wouldn't know what to do if we were just running off of one generator, because I'm looking at the outlet here and it just looks like a 120 outlet, but neither a 30 or 50 amp exists. So I'm assuming that I would probably need an adapter to go from like 120 to like 30 amp or something. I've got a parallel kit that combines the two generators into one power source, and that has a 30 amp plug on it. The goal is to fill up both with fuel and oil, run it to that parallel kit so I can kind of run them in sync, and then try to connect it to the Airstream. Let's go get some gas. It says don't overfill, and I just realized there's a cage on here. All right, both tanks are full, and we're off. Back to the bayou. Two mistakes I just made. One, I just drove in when I should have backed in. It would have made it a lot easier to get the generators off the bed of the truck. And two, just realized these are expensive generators and I should have some way to secure them with some sort of locking cable system or something. I've got nothing, but luckily we're boondocking in a place that's very remote and there's nobody around us. But in the future, I'm gonna have to pick up some sort of lock to keep them secured so I can secure them to a tree or the truck or something.
So while Daniel takes care of the very important step of setting up our generators, I'm gonna take care of something obviously equally important. First, unlocking this. Give me just a sec. Our state map. So this may be one of my favorite things since we have our own Airstream now that we get to do. So as you can see, we have put all of the states on here that we have currently visited, and this week is in our first time in Louisiana, which means, check that out, it's time to add another state. You're probably thinking what a lot of people have reached out and told us on our Instagram, which you can find us at Wanderlocal, is that this is the cutest state map you have ever seen. So if you want to grab it, it's actually on our Amazon store. I think it's like under 20 bucks. Getting this perfectly aligned, very important. Yay, that makes me very happy.
Okay, generator number 1. Oh, it's actually not too heavy. Not bad. Let's jump again. This is where I'm gonna be plugging in the generator eventually. But you don't want your generators too close to the Airstream because it gives off bad fumes, and you don't want those bad fumes to kind of feed into any of the windows or anything like that. It's a very small peninsula, so I'm kind of struggling with where to put these. I think that looks good. I carry the 50 amp cord in the truck with us now so I can get it out quickly. We have so much junk in here right now, we definitely need to reorganize. One of the really cool things about the Ford F-250 is that you have storage underneath the back seats. The only problem is that you have storage underneath the back seats. So you tend to fill above the seats with a bunch of junk. There's my parallel kit. This is what the 30 amp hookup looks like on the parallel kit right here. If you see me fumbling around with this stuff and you're like, man, that guy is such a newbie, he doesn't even know how to work a generator, just know that I'm really good with computers. I know Hondas are very popular inverter generators, but we opted to go for as American as possible because that's our mission this year. Here's what we've got. We've got a black cable, a red cable, and a ground cable, that yellow one. Red, so you can go in red, black, here in black, and then I'm assuming the screw here is for the ground, but I can't untighten it with my hand, so I'm gonna have to go grab a wrench.
Here comes handy dandy Daniel. Energized by Red Bull.
This is how handy I am. Literally this toolbox is like brand new. I just took the sticker off of it. Not handy at all. It's getting a little nuts over here. And by that, I mean I got the nut off. Now that I've connected the 2 generators together, I'm trying to figure out how to put the oil in them. And right now I'm just watching a YouTube video from Kat. It looks relatively simple. We'll see. Okay, so according to the YouTube video, the oil is behind this back panel right here. The real question is, how do I fill the oil when it looks like this? Because it looks like it's like the valve is sideways. It's like sticking straight out.
Back to the YouTube video.
I'd recommend you do all of your research before you hit a boondocking location where you have sufficient Wi-Fi to do all the research imaginable. We're gonna make this work. All right. Here we go. Hopefully, I don't create too big of a mess. I'm just gonna go super slow here. Now that I've put some oil in here, I'm gonna close this off and move on to the next generator. This is my 30 amp to 50 amp dog bone connector that we're gonna be using to connect the generators to our 50 amp plug that will run straight to the side of the Airstream. I'm just gonna get connected to the... Got a little bit of a bug situation right here. I've eaten enough bugs today.
Yep, my husband, the murderer of all the bugs in the bayou. There are a bunch out here though.
Call me whatever you want, but I don't like bugs. Okay. This is called RV corded adapter, but we call them dog bones in the RV world. I don't know, maybe that's not a thing, but whatever. Now that my dog bone's connected, 50 amp. Now, according to Kat's instructional videos, I'm only supposed to do 3 things. Number 1, turn the cat from the off position to the on position. Number 2, turn the knob to the start position. And number 3, just pull the cord.
Sounds like it's working.
The last step, I'm so excited right now. Okay, the last step is to turn it from the starting position back to green. One more to go. We are never boondocking without power ever again. Last step again, back to green. Okay, now let's go inside and see if it works. So I just clicked inverter and shore power, and I guess I don't really know how to test it. I guess we could just see if the TV works. Flexing those generator muscles right now. I feel pretty dang proud of myself. That was awesome, and definitely not as hard as I thought it was gonna be. Success.
Now that we've got the generators hooked up, we are doing the thing I'm most excited about with this Harvest Host. So the one we're staying at is called Champagne Swamp Tours. They have boat tours where we can go see the alligators and all the wildlife. There are hundreds of species of birds here, and the tours are only $25 per person. So that's pretty much like the greatest thing ever. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Swamp tour, let's do it.
Yeah.
There you go. All aboard the Swamp Express.
I am so excited about the birds and alligators and all the amazing things we're gonna see in the swamp. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's a little bit further out from where we are now so that I feel better about an alligator not showing up under our Airstream tomorrow morning. Just learned one of our first interesting facts about the tour. Did you know that alligators during their first 5 years of life, you can pretty much guess how old they are by the size? So for every foot that they are long, they're 1 year old. After 5 years, Mother Nature pretty much just takes over and you can't really tell from there. But alligators on average, they live to be about 30 years old. That being said, apparently the oldest alligator that's still alive is in Memphis and she or he is over 80. That's really old.
So far we've seen one alligator. He was really small. He looked cute and cuddly. I'm not saying I would cuddle him, but you never know.
So much, a female alligator, though, so you typically have what lives about 30 to 50 babies.
Another interesting fact that we just learned is that the words swamp and bayou are Native American terms, but they don't mean the same thing. A bayou is a slow-moving stream of water, whereas a swamp is a flooded forest. Who would have known? Now you do. That was awesome.
Yeah.
No power. My laptop battery died. It was easy to get it hooked up. None of the GFCI outlets are working right now. The TV works, so that's cool. But the outlets that we need to do all of the work are not working. I'm sure there's some sort of breaker, maybe. So I'm just gonna start looking for things and Googling it on my phone. The two biggest struggles, I'm just gonna lay it out there with traveling full time. One, internet. You probably don't hear us complain about it as often as we do, but we complain a lot about the lack of internet. It's kind of like a work in progress. Haven't quite figured that out. And then two is power when we boondock. And boondocking is kind of part of the cool part, you know? You like in the middle of a peninsula in the bayou, and that's awesome. But if you want some power, it's a different story. So we're gonna figure it out. I'm going through this painful process for you newbies that are watching this. So you don't have to. Learn from my mistakes. The only place I know to look for a breaker would be down below the closet space. It's not here. This is, well, I don't know what this is, honestly. Oh, shh. Looking, there's breakers here. I'm looking to see if any of them are tripped. There is one down here that looks like it's one of the fuses here, actually. It's either position 14 or 15 with the red light. 15 is for the subwoofer, and while that super sucks, and maybe the subwoofer hasn't been working for a while, position 14 is labeled as a spare. So, spare or subwoofer? Neither one makes any sense at all.
Okay, I have the smaller fingers, so I'm gonna give this thing a try.
Okay.
Ta-da!
Okay, let's see if it's...
But that light's still on.
Oh, well then that means then this fuse looks good.
It looks like it's the one underneath it. Ha!
Well, this one is definitely blown.
It is?
Uh-huh.
How on earth do you know that?
You can see it. See it at the very top there?
No.
It looks black inside. The loop, the hoop.
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
compared
inside.
to this one.
So this one is blown. Luckily, we bought a fuse box. So if you don't travel with extra fuses, oh man, make sure you have a kit with you.
But why would that make your thing not work?
Well, it makes perfect sense. You see, this 30 amp fuse is connected to the knee bone, and the knee bone is connected to the hip bone, and the hip bone apparently is connected to the outlet system here, which makes perfect sense, obviously.
Well, that's absolutely ridiculous, but we're gonna at least replace that little thingamadoogie because we have extras in the truck.
Best case scenario, the subwoofer is working, and we've got that bass. You can drop that bass.
And we can use that while I cook dinner. Fingers crossed. It'll have some kind of impact on the outlet. What made the light go off?
It did.
It has to be a good thing.
It sparked a little bit, but if I were playing a game of Operation, I would have failed and the patient would have died. Let's just say that. So now the subwoofer works. I'm thinking all the outlets work now.
Okay, maybe not. Like, maybe it's not this one, maybe it's this one.
That was perfect. That worked. No, it didn't. Does that work?
Yes, this is working.
This
battery isn't charged, so the light is red, so that means it's powering that. Well, maybe neither one of these are an inverter charger. Hold on. This plug says inverter circuit, so that seems like that makes sense to me that that one would work when others wouldn't.
Oh! It's charging! Isn't that awesome? All you had to do was replace the subwoofer fuse to get the inverter running again.
If you know much about RV inverters, you likely know it's directly connected to our Airstream batteries. So this solution didn't last very
The power's
long.
out again. Just the outlets. I've got one idea left, using this little power tower here and an extension cord. And if that doesn't work, I really don't know what to do. And this right here is my plan Z. Even when you're in one of the most beautiful places ever, and you should appreciate like all of it, nature, the position you're in, sometimes the outlets get the best of you. And that sucks. You need to take a moment here, I need to woo-saw my butt back into a zen-like state, and it's just outlets. It's not that big of a deal. I told you I was really good at computers, and yeah, not things like this. But if I was treating this like a computer, I'd probably kick it, like, and then if it didn't like start going, I would turn it all off and start over, reboot. In the tech world, I would call this an ID10T error. And if you don't know what ID10T error is, you want to Google that. That's what's happening to me right now. Unplug. Plug it back in. Right now I feel like this is like Windows XP maybe, or like Windows Me or Windows 7. XP was good, never mind. Windows 7, Windows Me. All right.
Is it out of gas?
You gonna take a break and just go make dinner?
Yeah. Oh man, what the? I can't even reboot it properly. What's that? Like a breaker? There was a breaker on there. Okay, let's. Okay, yep. I'm walking away. I can say one positive thing about this crazy experience so far. We fixed a subwoofer. I think it's been out for a while. We probably blew that fuse a while ago because now that it's working, I can feel the thumping. That's awesome. Yeah. So no matter what, we're gonna have a good sound system. Moving on.
Since we haven't been able to figure out the generators, it's kind of important that I start dinner sooner rather than later so it stays light in here. And I'm pretty excited about dinner because tonight, in true Bayou fashion, I am making a vegan jambalaya. I will just say that I've seen a lot of people who live in an RV say that it's pretty much the same as cooking at home, and I really don't believe that that's true. Let me show you. Another thing that's significantly different about cooking in an RV is it's a tiny space compared to your home. So sure, an onion is miserable no matter when you cut it, but it's way worse in an RV. Let's turn that fan on. Great, we're gonna put lid up and turn that baby on. And I'm only mildly crying at this point, so sounds like a win. Another thing that's really different about cooking in an RV is that you're working with a lot of limited counter space. So you can see this big, beautiful cutting board. We had this at home and it's not really technically a perfect fit for our Airstream, but the way we store it is we put it over top of the stove. One of the things that I love about the Classic is how much storage space it has. And this drawer just happens to be humongous. I can keep all of my pots in here. I can keep my smoothie machine in here. Like, literally, this is my go-to kitchen gadgets drawer, and I can fit all of it in. Since we're making jambalaya, I need a super huge pot, so that's what I'm pulling out of here. We're gonna start putting the spices together. So you can see our spices are stacking up nicely. All right, perfect. It's coming to a boil. So that means we're putting the top on her, turning it down, and letting it simmer for 45 minutes. While we wait on that, I'm gonna go ahead and let the beans drain, and then we are gonna go see what we can do about these generators before it gets completely dark outside.
I phoned a friend. I found out the inverter on the panel wasn't supposed to be pressed because you don't run the inverter that runs from the battery. You should just run it on shore power feature. Earlier I couldn't restart the generators. I'm gonna go back. I'm hoping that maybe they've had time to cool down, and I know I've had time to cool down. So we're gonna be friends again, and the generator's gonna work. Green. I've got a green light here, green light here. I feel pretty good about this. Green's gotta be good, right? Please let this work. Shore power, that should technically do it. Okay, let there be light. Let's see if the plug works.
Yep, you guessed it. Still not working. Daniel decided to go back outside to the generators and curse the power gods. But a few minutes later, I heard someone squeal like a little girl on Christmas morning.
So the parallel like box has like a toggle switch. Here, check this out. There's a toggle switch right here. It's very hard to see. But once I flipped it, these lights came on right here to the 50 amp or 50, yeah, the 50 amp plug. And then everything just lit up like a switch. A switch. That's it. It's just like a switch. It's working.
I feel like you need a stocking dance party.
We've got an AC unit running. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
The ultimate test. You have to press the power button.
It's charging. That's what I'm talking about. As easy as pie, right? If you just follow my 47-step process for how to hook up a generator, you too can have a successful boondocking experience. 47 steps, that's all it takes.
Now that we actually have the generators figured out, we're gonna be celebrating with some awesome Bayou-style dinner. Celebratory figured out how to use the generators, jambalaya.
It's really good.
With full bellies and rockin' generators, it was time to call it a night. Because tomorrow, we're off again, headed to what will become the Texas freeze. With the generator skills, we need to avoid hypothermia. Well, that is, if one remembers gas. Until next time, friend, make sure you wander local this week. It's good for the soul.